Good evening, fellas. Glad you made the class tonight. There is a slight change in tonight's class in that Prime, your normal instructor, is under the weather and can't talk, as under the weather is with his throat. So yours truly is taking over the duties tonight. And in light of whatever they were going to talk about, what we're going to do is just talk about that on the next class. What I'm going to talk about tonight is what I posted about on the page, particularly the R1 and 001 page. You Schroen and Roan guys can definitely take this information too. Uh, we got hit in the side of the head with a new flagship this week in the Harlock Revenge. It has made the Revenge fleet extremely viable again, if not bulletproof. But it is not bulletproof. So I'm going to explain that. I have thrown a few different things at this new hull or new fleet, which the fleet that's been hitting me, which has hit me 3 times now. Um, was basically 4 Revenges with the Gatling gun that came with the Revenge when we got it, and of course the Harlock Revenge. And what they're doing is they're driving that Harlock Revenge off to the corner and coming in kind of in a train, or sometimes all at one, and picking you off like they used to when the Revenge came out. So I adjusted for it a little bit, was able to cause enough damage, but I did get leveled, 100%ed. Lost 43 medals. Didn't throw my sucker in the dirt. Didn't get mad. You know what I did? I did, okay, got to figure this out. I'm not going to throw my sucker in the dirt. I'm going to figure this out. So I started analyzing it. I went over to the stats of the new hull, which I want to kind of go over right now. It is a limited hull. Let's see. Let me get it. There it is. And what this is it's called a Harlock Revenge. It does give only other Revenges bonuses, the bonuses that it gives. Those flagship bonuses to all the other Harlocks or all the other Revenges is 11,000 ballistic deflection, 1,800 concussive, 1,800 corrosive, 7,000 explosive, 9,000 penetrative, and 4,800 in radioactive. It also gives a concussive damage increasement of 75% and a concussive reload increasement of 75%. So needless to say, it definitely makes the Revenge fleet tough, if not what we're going to call bulletproof. What I have done to completely stop this fleet, the same guy hit me 3 times, MJ from PNLS. First time he hit me, he rushed in, died. My guard fleet I had at the time, which before that fleet came out, killed it. Well, he came in the second time and inched his way in and kind of methodically hit me. He leveled me. He got the 100%. I made the changes, and the change is I added a Hell Wraith sub to my guard. I'm running a Hellstar, I'm running a Retribution, I'm running 2 Vanquishers, and a Hellwraith. And the Hellwraith I had built for the last raid. I didn't make any changes to it. All I did was simply put it in there. I've had a few questions today about where I put this in here, and this is on the video right now. You can see here where I put it. I also put a patrol range of it right out to the out, where you can, the little deals where you can change the direction that it's sitting. I put the roam circle dead even with that, which you can see in the video too. So it comes out to about right here, which is right in the middle of the channel. So that when they make, you guys that are familiar with my base, when you make that very last turn, they've been beat up. Here's the reason why I say put it in the back. It's one of the last ships that's going to fire on these Revenges because they're beat up. Because I did some testing, and if you just try to take one Hellwraith out there, it takes several volleys for it to kill that fleet. Whereas if they've almost damaged, it usually kills them in one volley. Especially if they hit my overload of my Hellstar, which I know everybody doesn't have a Hellstar, but I think that from the feedback I've gotten from the few people that have put this Hellwraith in their base already today, as I've been talking about it, have had nothing but success. Drive it. If you got to drive it to win your battle, drive it. But you got to be skillful with it. You got to remember that Hellwraith pops up. It only pops up for 5 seconds, but it does pop up, and it stays down depending on what you've got on it. Bat 3, whatever you've done with your build, that's how long it's going to stay under. But drive it. When you're getting ready to pop up, you need to be away from their fleet so they can't just pummel you. You go down, go back out, kill them again. And that's kind of what I've done. But I wanted to set mine up with a little bit of patrol range to where if I'm offline, the sub's still going to do some good. So another thing he said with that, MJ PM'd me after the 3rd hit. He said, well done on your changes, on your tweaks. I can't get in that base. The Hellwraith does 2 things. One, it makes you nervous because you're worried about it the whole time you're hitting the base and you pay too much attention to it. And two, if you do finally get to it, it murders you. That's what he said to me in a PM. That's what really got my wheels turning and think, okay, I need to spread the word and give everybody this knowledge. I will show my build here. I will also explain it on here. My build is basically all the new Twister torpedo, the explosive S armor, or not the explosive armor, but the cloak armor, which it is explosive. It does have explosive. So my explosive defense on this is 92%. Concussive defense is 80, which does make it pretty strong against the Revenge since their damage is concussive. So I did watch War get hit today. He listened to my advice, put the sub in there. And it took several volleys for them to take out the sub, and they never even took it out. So anyway, but I also have Mag Drive 2, Stealth Attack 4, Ion Thrusters 3, and Alablative Explosive 3 armor, just the regular researchable armor. And that's my basic build on my Hell Ass. It's basically something that was just right straight out of my raid fleet that I've been using in that fleet. So anyway, I don't think it's something that's going to require a lot of refitting or anything like that. I guess really the gist of what I wanted to say here is that putting just the Hellwrath alone in there, putting it in the right position, will stop this Revenge. It's done. You also got to want to not go too drastic. The second thing I wanted to talk about is past the Hellwraith. Guys, whenever KIXEYE throws, and when they've thrown basically 3 things at us in about a month's time. I mean, they have about a month, a little over 45 days time. So it's making it where we are having to adjust or have been ready for it way ahead of time. Let's watch these preview servers. When someone posts a video about the preview server, which is basically what's coming out next month's raid, watch it. Look at the stats. When you see any preliminary stats posted, look at it. If you go, oh man, this new hull is going to be weak against missiles. Well, just know the mix. It's like in my base right now, I have 2 Vanquishers with launchers. I have my Ret, which has the mini Gatling gun on it, the reciprocator gun on it, and lockdown rockets. I have 2 lockdown rockets on it. My Hellstar is my missile ship, which you can, instead of the Hellstar, you could use a Zorino, a Rhino, a Mastodon, any Proto-Mastodon, anything with remote targeting missile-wise to be your missile ship, which I do recommend something with remote targeting. That way it's throwing missiles a lot longer. But I have a mix in there. And when the Hellwraith wasn't in there, I had a Punisher with ballistics in there. So I had a ballistic hull, missile hull, 2 launchers hull, and 1 hull mixed with kind of everything. And the reason why I have the Ret in there is because on the slim chance it does fire its special weapon, the fleet's dead. So that's one reason I leave that Retribution. But I have it a little further back. Now we've got the missiles coming in and that stuff. Obviously the Retribution is weak against missiles. And that's the other thing with the guard placement that I'm showing you on here is where you're going to put this stuff. Now the only thing I have with any kind of roam on it is that Hellwraith, and the only roam I'm having on it is to get just enough in the channel to where it will fire when they make that last turn. Just to answer y'all's guys' question, there is no video. I'm making a video. Like I said, I had to do this on the fly, so you'll be able to go back and watch this video after this demonstration and kind of see more of what I'm talking about. The slides are different from what we were going to talk about with Prime Sickness. I had to kind of do this on a 45-minute notice, so. Next thing I wanted to kind of put somebody, not necessarily on the spot, but somebody that seems to think things out. Definitely always has a pretty good base. But if you don't mind, Seasick, would you talk a little bit about your base and what your thinking is?
Well, my base design is basically the same as yours. I just got I got -2 turrets, and I have one right by your rep, and it's the Drax Scattergun. And the hit that got me this morning, the guy tried to pick my fleet apart, and by the time he got to the last turn, that last scattergun killed him. Yesterday's hit, I was able to be online at work during lunch, and I drove my ass off to save the base. But I think it's going to be a lot in the scatterguns towards the end of the channel when the ship is damaged. That's just my opinion.
I definitely agree with that, and that's why I moved. I made a few turret adjustments. I had my Draconian scattergun in the front of the base. I'd moved it to the back of the base to where it's one of the last that fires on them, along with my 2 blunderbuss. So I totally agree with that assessment.
I mean, I got a well. I just pulled the Rhino out, put the Hellwraith in there, but I got a Mastodon, a Rep, um, 2 of the Vanquishers. They're all throwing launchers, and I think it's just going to be placement of turrets and what you got on your ships. Main thing. I mean, you want more than 2 to 3 ships firing on these things at once. Then get them where my last turret is on my channel. There's literally 3 to 4 ships firing on it at once, and he was more worried about the ships than the turret.
I definitely think that's a key too. Just with talking with MJ from PNLS, the more you can distract a hitter, the more they'll miss the little things that they might need to target on, or they'll miss a Hellwraith, or the whatever, or they'll miss that little turret at the end of the channels. Definitely.
Yeah, fully agree. And like the sub, like Lou was saying earlier, I mean, when I see a sub in there, it's like you need to pay attention to it. So putting a sub in there, I think, would be key. Just the fact you got the guy thinking he's not concentrating on hitting the base. He's more worried about that damn sub popping up. Just try to put it in a location where, if he hits your base at the channel, all right, how long is it going to take him to get to your subs? What, minute and a half? So you want to watch where your placement's at. So, I mean, I'm going to put mine on a patrol. So I'm just going to have to wait and see, really.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it all is. All it is, and one thing I wanted to call on you, CSIC, is you're always very methodical with how you think about things, your build, your base, and all that kind of stuff. I think you watch others. Me, I watch you watch me. You see what works, and that's really the key is watching as many base hits. If you see an SOS or you see a base lit up, stop what you're doing and go watch that hit and watch what happens, win or lose. Okay, how did that guy win? How did that guy lose? I do that. Somebody asked me yesterday, how you keeping your medals and how you getting the medals? Well, it's really no secret. I pride myself on my base. I've spent a lot of money on my base, more so than probably anybody in the game, or anybody not in the game, but in our group. And I've spent more on it lately than I even have my fleets. So some of my fleets have suffered because of that. Apollo fleet really don't. I didn't get the Phantom Hellwraith. So there's things I've missed out on because I've been focusing on my base so much. But it pays off. So I mean, Rogue was another one that he said, you know what, I'm going to pinpoint one thing on this game and I'm going to be really good at it. And no, he was not very good at hitting bases, but his base for his level and his equipment is pretty stout. So, of course, this new fleet's throwing him a curveball too. But another guy I want to call on is Smooth. You've always got a pretty good setup, and just want to kind of get what your thinking is.
Honestly, I haven't. The last base hit I got of the new fleets, the new Revengers, I should say. He only did 39%, but I wasn't able to actually watch it and see it, and I really don't trust these playbacks because a lot of times they're a lot different. But so far, I mean, my base has been able to keep them out with the launchers. They're doing their job, and they're damaging the fleets right away as they're coming through. By the time they get to the back of my channel, they're basically dead. So I'm not sure if it's the mix with my turrets. I'm having trouble explaining it, but I've been lucky so far.
One reason I kind of called on you is you have kind of the different setup than what a lot of us are running with the layout. So, and I have seen you have quite a bit of success with that particular layout. I mean, it's kind of similar. I mean, it kind of makes them go in front of the channel instead of going behind the channel, but the layout is different.
Yeah. I also have a wide mix of turrets. I didn't focus on just one type of turret to stop certain things. I'm trying to focus on, I have this many of this to help with that. Like the missiles I have in my base to help the Spite Fleet. But also my Harlock Citadel. That kills the Spite Fleets right away too. So it's just certain things where I'm not changing too much, just change a little bit at a time and just nail them down.
And that's kind of what I was glad you mentioned that you do have a mix of turrets, and I've noticed that when you get hit and I'm watching it, I'm like, man, he has a. One time I said you have a cluster F of turrets, and then the next couple times or the most recent times I'm like, man, that mix of turrets actually is kind of working because you're throwing so many different types of damage at them that no matter what they're weak against, you've got something firing at them at that weakness. So I guess really the gist of that and really what the important moral to the story is don't overreact. And that's something that's been hard for me to do and that I've had to do and that I've done a good job over the last several months is not just throwing a bunch of coin at the game and overreacting. And I know a lot of you can't just so that, but I used to do that. New baser would come out, coin the baser, coin all these changes in my base, coin a new guard, coin this. I mean, drop $1,000 on before I got started. That's stupid. That's silly. So, especially with as much knowledgeable people we have here and all the ideas we can bring together, and then these classes and stuff, being able to do this too. But two more people I want to call on. The next one is Bye Bye. You've always kind of got an unconventional design too from our normal design.
Me?
Yes, sir. Reason why I'm calling on you is because you have that different design from what a lot of us will go to this cookie cutter design that we find that works. Well, you smooth and you have totally different designs pretty much.
Right. Well,
And
I
they work.
put my kill zone at the back of my base, or actually the side as they come around, where it locks them down and they get hammered in that back corner just as they're getting my 25%. I put my my last two warehouses back there. They've got the cryo, which stops them, and then I've got 6 blunderbuss sitting back there to fire on them. Plus, I have 2 Zoe Rhinos in there, tucked back away where they can't be hit from the channel, and they're firing on them. Which I am just now putting a sub in my base after watching what you guys have been doing. But I have all my weapons on the island, so they don't have any retargeting. They have to battle the base fleet and all the base weapons, but they can't hit my weapons on the island until they get around to the back.
Definitely. And what you talked about is that kill zone at the back. I think that's you want to be causing damage throughout the hit. I think that's important too. But I think having that major kill zone at the back, like Seasick talking about putting a scattergun at the back, after they've taken the beating. That's my idea about putting the Hell Wraith at the back is that they've taken that beating and you got to take 2 shots and they're done. Which I'm actually, along with the video, after this segment, you can go back and watch it. I'm showing a base hit where you can actually see my sub move. You can also see me drive it a little bit, so I think it'll be a good demonstration there. But anything else, Bye-Bye?
I do have 2 Draken scatterguns sitting back there beside those blunderbuss, so that's smacking them at the same time that you got 6 blunderbuss carrying on with them, plus the other base weapons I have in there.
Yes, absolutely. Kind of like with Smooth, just throwing as much at them and sometimes as much different things at them as you can to make sure you're causing as much damage that you can constantly. What they call DPS when you're looking at your ship builds or whatnot.
Right. I've got quite a diverse set of base fleet in there, which is not conventional, but it's to handle whatever comes in now that we've got the 3 new types of ships that are coming in, and now I'm rearranging for that new Revenge.
Yeah, and having to adjust for that. So, and
Right.
that's what you're doing. So, Really, that talking about that, just nobody freak out. You know, if something new comes. Remember when the Revenge came out? We all freaked out. Oh man, I can't stop it. It was a thing of the past. They bring this new hole, make it a viable ship, but it was a thing of the past. Who was using Revenges anymore? So anyway, we will get past this. Last person I want to call on. He's fairly new to our group, but definitely been a good ad. He definitely methodical about his builds too, thinks things through, and has already helped quite a bit of you with some of your own builds. But that is, I Kill Your Fleet.
Spit it out. Go ahead.
Don't be shy.
Well, one, I've already personally added the Hellwraith to the base guard. Very viable. Two, I went kind of unorthodox here a while back, which I just went recently back to, is I have two Gammas in my base. One of them is ballistic with the lockdown rockets. Of course, I went lockdown rockets on everything except for the sub. I run two Vanquishers and two Gammas in the Hellwraith right now. One of my Gammas I have antis on with the Switchblade missiles with a single blade on it for any type of remote targeting if I ever want to use it for that. I've got my kill zone. I've got two kill zones. One's out front and one's at the back corner as they're circling around the front end of the channel in order to come to the back. I've got a slow in the front with a Vanquisher and a slow at the back corner. As they come through, my sub is set up right behind that Vanquisher in the slow zone so that as long as they're not pinched, then I have the effect of the slow zone, a Blunderbuster, the range of the Gamma, and my Hellwraith all back there. I'm currently damaged, so I haven't been able to move the Draconian scatters to the back. That is something that I personally hadn't thought about or looked at, but with that being in mind, with the Harlock coming out, that puts a whole new change and another twist on the base issues. So I'm between the Spite, the Fury, and now the Revenge again. It's making it kind of challenging to keep all of them out. Most of them seem to they don't leave without a hurting, but there's been a couple of them here recently that have broke my base and made it to the back. A sub has definitely been the answer to stopping them. It's definitely a key in making things not so easy, and they focus elsewhere. So with that said, I go with a mixture of a little bit of everything from ballistics, explosives. I do have a couple of the ECMs on my front warehouses as they're coming down the channel for choke points and pinch points because of the simple fact they're pinching my fleet as they're coming in. They're pinching my turrets. I don't have a lot of the stun resistance, so I went with the ECM blast on the warehouses and two choke points as they're coming around those choke points, so that it gives me a little bit more of a stall time.
Yeah, and it's like you talk about the sub and in the changes you've made. I mean, when I hit you, had you had a sub in there, I would have made it. That's kind of the way I was looking at that. But I've noticed you evolve. You evolve very quick. You kind of remind me of me. You don't kind of really freak out, and I think everybody I called on I feel the same way about you. That's why I called on you. But you make an adjustment after every hit. Make an adjustment. What was my weakness on that hit? Even if I win, guys, I still analyze the playback, or I analyze when I actually was able to view it, because whoever mentioned it earlier, playbacks are a little more accurate than they were. They used to be very inaccurate, but they are quite a bit better. I'll watch the playback like right after I get hit. I usually watch it twice, and I'll watch, okay, what fired of mine? What did I do good on, or what of his did good or didn't do good. So that's kind of what I'm always paying attention to and studying my hits closely, so I know what to fix or tweak. Or Mojo, I know he had to go to sleep, but he asked me about what have I done different. Well, I'm doing things different all the time. It's hard to keep up with me because I might move my turrets around 5 times a week, and I might not. If I find something that really just sticks and works and it's solid, I might not move it around for a couple weeks or even up to a month. But whenever things start happening, or I watch the percentages, a fleet gets a little further in than I feel like it should, or whatnot, I try to analyze why. Why did that fleet get to there whenever everybody's been dying about 2 inches up. There we go. I'll spot the weakness and I immediately tackle it. And the first thing I try to do, Lube, you so coin at it and fix it. No. None of this to fix this revenge, Hardlock Revenge. I have not spent a single coin, not a single refit to do what I've done. All I did was move a few turrets around, Draconian Scattergun Tobacco Base, and put a Hellray sub in there. And that wasn't the first thing I tried. I had somebody in the group, hey, have you figured anything out? Have you figured anything out? I said, no, I'm working on it. Because I tried a Revenge in there, which Revenge in there works pretty good, actually. That probably does the most damage to that Revenge fleet coming in. Is if you watch their power bar, it seems to take the biggest chunk out of there. But unfortunately, when they hit it, it died pretty fast. So you could load it up with some concussive armor, and it would live longer. But I think that's overreacting. I think right now we put the Hellwraith in there. Next month, the raid, it's going to be a skirmisher hull, so no more no baser. Thank God. It's more of a workhorse or something you might be able to do the raid with in the future. Instead of using subs, you'll be able to use this fleet. But the gun, the weapon coming with it, I think is going to be great in my base. So I'm kind of excited. I'm more excited about the weapon than I am the hull. And it's got a 104 range. It's got a pretty good damage, and it does the same wind-up reload that the current Gatling gun does. So I'm kind of looking like they're giving us the answer to this fleet. So it's going to be short-lived. And I guess really just what I'm trying to get at is don't overreact. Put that sub in there. They're going to give us something. We'll get the sub out of there. I know some people in the group are like me. You don't like putting a sub in your base. You don't like driving your base guard. I don't like either. But when it gets tough and you want to make sure you win, hey, a pirate's got to do what a pirate's got to do at the end of the day. And I always want you guys to feel that way. I'm never going to persecute you for driving your guard. I'm never going to persecute you for having a whole fleet of subs in there if that's what you want to do. What do I ask? Have a guard. Even if it's gunboats, have a guard. If you get hit and I peek your base or view the hit and you don't got a guard, I come out and go do something else. I don't even watch the rest of it. I don't even care if they flatten you. You've got to try in this group. You've got to have a guard in your base. And I know, it's just going to need repair and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's part of the game. You go out and hit bases, your baser gets dead. What do you got to do? You've got to repair it, but you still do it. Same thing with your base card. So that's kind of the class tonight. I'm sorry for the slides. There will be a little bit of a video posted. It does have a couple base hits on it and a couple things. I'm basically showing my base because that was the easiest thing for me to do. But do appreciate all you folks coming, and till next time.